With level 70, you have 41-point talent trees, and making those really, really good. When you get to level 80, are you planning on doing the same thing to making the 51s the spells that you have, or do you want to make it so they more invest in 2 trees? And I have one last question that's 3 letters, ETA. When's it coming out?
Well, it'll come out when it's ready. It won't be today, I can guarantee you that. But we'll see. But as far as the 51 talent points go, we certainly do expect to extend the talent trees a lot like we did with the Burning Crusade. So we're going to have 51-point talents in each of the trees. Also, the Death Knight itself is going to have 3 talent trees of their own. So that's something that I think a lot of people are going to look forward to. As far as whether or not those talents are going to be more powerful than 41 talents, for example, it's actually not typically our goal to make the talents get stronger and stronger and stronger as the trees extend. We really like them to be relative. I mean, we want them to be compelling, but we want them to be relatively within the same power level so that players feel like they have a lot of freedom as far as whether they want to go down one tree or split themselves across multiple trees, that sort of thing.
Okay, now last time when you guys released an expansion, and I read it on the forums, it was a really genius thing on making Karazhan and making the player flow back into the old zone with the Burning Crusade, so there's not an overflow in Outland. And now you guys are doing Northrend, so the first thing that comes to my mind with questions is Undermine, Grim Batal, Oshigun, Oldham. Is there any leak on what we can expect from that that'll kind of encourage us to go back, maybe see what's on the other side of the Great Main Wall or anything like that?
That might be a question for Jeff to take the lead or whatever.
Way to dodge the question, Tom. We definitely want to send players back to the old world. We have a lot of plans, some which are not announced yet. There will be a new Caverns of Time instance. I cannot say what it is right now, unfortunately, but information will be coming out very soon about that. I think it'll be something that's really exciting to players. And there are other places that we're very excited to explore. I think Grim Batal would be one of them. So we'll definitely want people back in the old world, and I think Karazhan and Caverns of Time and Burning Crusade were a great example. And of course, there's always the auction house as well, serving all your old world needs.
Okay, I was wondering with the new Death Knight class, is what you were before somehow going to play into this? Because you said you do a quest to get it. Is it going to overrule your old class, or are you going to get like a new character?
Right, you're actually going to get a new character. It doesn't destroy your old character in any way. We actually did consider that as one of the kind of routes to go. We thought it might be kind of cool to go and level up your character at 80 and then turn them into a Death Knight. But what we felt like as we kind of ran those ideas by the team was that too many people on the team felt like they were losing something to gain something. We really want players to feel like they come out of it at a net positive. So while the storyline and the quest is certainly going to sort of explain your interaction with this new Death Knight character and sort of lead you into that process of unlocking the character making sense, it will be an entirely new character.
I was just curious about, with Burning Crusade, the green items that kind of started dropping when you got 60. Are the ones in Northrend going to be better than like tier 4 maybe, or is it we're going to see the same item level progression jump from 70 to 71?
Yeah, we do expect to see the same kind of progression. We were pretty happy overall with the way the itemization played out in terms of the level progression and when players got upgrades for their items. We think it's important for to have players get upgrades relatively quickly. Now granted, if you're decked out in Illidan gear or gear that's going to come from the new raid zone that I can't mention just yet that will be out between now and the expansion. But yeah, there's going to be more to come still in our content patches. So if you're decked out in that sort of gear, you can expect that your gear will last you a while and not feel like it's going to be immediately obsoleted by overpowered greens or anything like that. But we feel like players really like to see upgrades relatively early on for the most, the 85% case.
My question was in reference to the flying mounts. Are we gonna have to buy new ones again for Northrend?
Well, we certainly expect to have some new flying mounts. We are still in the process of deciding exactly how that's going to work. We know you're not going to have to buy a new flying mount. We will have new flying mount options. They'll look really cool and that sort of thing. You may have to learn how to de-ice the wings of your current mount, but we expect you to be able to use your current ones.
Next question. With the addition of the Death Knight, which is another plate DPS class, what do you see happening to the role of the Rogue, once again with their lack of survivability, and as the already lower situation in the Warrior and Arena teams?
The Rogue situation. Last Arena, last Blizzcon, they were overpowered. Can we go back to that now? So, with the rogues, that's obviously a constant kind of balance thing, is, how do we tune the warrior versus the rogue? The rogue, while they have less, straight up survivability, I think in this particular case, you might either be talking about the raid case, in which case the survivability probably doesn't matter all that much, the survivability difference. As far as arenas go, rogues bring a lot of utility to play, like with crowd control. Certainly the rogues in the 5-on-5 environment are something that we're still looking into. I'm not entirely satisfied with how they're playing in 5-on-5. I'm pretty happy with how they play in 3v3, 2v2, that sort of thing. But yeah, 5-on-5, we expect to do more. But as far as how that relates to the Death Knight, we'll see. We still expect the Death Knight to play pretty differently. We expect them at the very least to feel very different, so that you should be able to be an equally viable choice. We don't, even though the Death Knight is a hero class, it's not supposed to be a more powerful character class. It's just supposed to be different, feel different and fun for different reasons. So I think that they'll probably have a lot of the same kind of back and forth that the Warriors and Rogues did.